Hi, I'm Lisa Cassidy of Canyon Kai Bicycle Tubes. Today I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of my workshop as well as the steps I go through to make Canyon Kai bracelets. So here's the initial notebook that I used to keep a log of all of the tests that I'd run on my various designs. I'd indicate what tube I used, how thick the tube was, what style I was using, what the results were, so I would indicate whether it actually worked, how deep it cut through the tube. There were so many things to learn about in this process, especially because I was new to working with bicycle tubes. But as you might guess, working with tubes is even more complex than you might think because each tube is really different and the designs were different and the thicknesses varied, even if the width of the tube was the same. So this was a book that I kept track of. There's tons of notes in there. But if you need any proof of the many times I tested bracelets, I have a huge bag here filled. And this is probably not even half the designs that I had tested when I was testing all these various bracelet designs. So for anybody who wants to give the Cricut a go, I definitely support you. And someday I will have some digital designs for people to create. But until then, if you have any concept of probably how many hours between this notebook and these testers, you'll realize that it's not as easy as it looks. So I have a lot of designs that show some of my original work, and like this daisy design originally was much larger than the current design. You'll see that the flowers were a lot bigger, a lot more white space, and I only had 4 holes. So as this was one of the things that I learned from people who stopped by the booth. The daisy was my best seller, but ironically, it was the petites that everyone would pick up, and they picked it up because the flowers were smaller. So I started making the daisy with smaller flowers like you see in this design. I also learned, as you can see, this is one of my older designs, that this T, which I kind of call an anchor for putting through the holes, was way too easy to slip through the holes when you were wearing it. So I added glue to the back right there, and I made it more of an anchor shape, which you'll see in some of the newer designs. So these are kind of back to some of the retro. These are a lot of the rejects. I had designs I thought were cool with the lines running through it, but they didn't sell as well at the markets, so I stopped making them that way. Here you'll see a design where I truly have the anchor shape. So this was one of the newer daisies, but this one had the 4-hole. And what I learned about having 6 holes was that I could do 2 of the smallest holes on the petite size, 2 of the middle holes would be the standard size, and 2 would be for the medium size. So this one size could cover a full range of wrist sizes. So that was one of the big developments. So you won't see any of these designs on the website as they are right here, because they all now have 6 holes, and they all have this new anchor shape as opposed to that kind of small little slit there. That gold tab that you see, that little gold marker, that was designed because when people were putting them on, I noticed that they couldn't see the difference between the tube where the holes were and the tube where that was coming through. So I'd say, look for the gold, and that's how they would know what to pull through. So I started adding that. So this was a very iterative process. One of the things I really love to do is to make every shipment feel like it's a gift. So early on, I'd created these cards that said, thanks for being awesome. And part of it was that I felt that way about my customers, but I also realized a lot of people were buying my bracelets as gifts. So this was a really cute thing to put on the front of a bracelet. So I use this very thin paper to kind of make it almost look like it's been wrapped. And I will put the card on top like that, and then put that over a Canyon Kai package. So if you had bought a necklace, I would put this over it. And now we have this really pretty sheer paper over it to make it kind of look like it's been gift wrapped with this awesome message for the person who's receiving it. So from a distance, this is my workshop. This is how it is today. It's been reorganized many, many times, and it's kind of a mess, so don't judge me. But basically, what we have now are several stations. So here is a station where I do a lot of the necklaces and earring work. You'll see I've got the cue here for the earrings. I have the necklace stand. I want to ensure that every necklace comes out the same way, so I use this as a guide. And then over here are all the cards that I put the bracelets and necklaces on. So this is one of the final areas. Here is the area where we kind of assemble it all. And then over here is generally the drying area. Once I've made the designs and then I cut, have weeded them basically out, they usually dry here. And then this is the gluing station. And this is where I apply the glue to the anchor portion of the bracelets. And then once they're dry, they get moved over to the shining area. And I use this here to make the bracelets a very deep black. Until they're done, I leave them here. Once they're dry, that's when they get packaged. The actual creation of the bracelets is done here. I have, like I said, created a whole new process for making the bracelets much quicker than I used to. I used to create them on the Cricut and then have to hand weed, and it would take me up to a half an hour to do one of these daisies, for example. Now I'm able to take the die cut and cut into the tube, and then I can roll the design onto the tube and get it set to be weeded, which is a much faster process than it used to be. As you can see, there's still a lot of weeding to do in some of these designs. Only a few of the holes are easily removable. So some of these designs are much harder to work with than others, which explains the price difference. But it's way, way faster than it used to be. It used to be that I could only make about 40 across about 8 hours. Now I can probably make about 200. In the middle of my workshop, I have these charts kind of spread around. And the reason for it is one of my goals was really to standardize everything. I wanted exactly what you saw on the website to be what you got in the mail. So basically this is to ensure that everything always meets the exact size requirements that I have posted on the website and on Etsy, so that every single one is exactly the same. I can't control the tubes because those have been repurposed, but I can control that the design and the length and the location of the holes are all exactly the same. And then one of the fun parts of my job is when I get to package it all up. So one of the things I learned early on was that because I was lucky enough to use such a light material, I could send them almost like they were paper. They were flat and could go through the postal service like paper, so that enabled me to do free shipping. For those of you who ordered a few of them or some of the necklaces where it doesn't quite fit, you'll see here that I have a box that I use to ship them, and I love adding some paper shred, which I store in there. And you'll see here, some of you probably have received some of my Kane and Kai brochures. They're a little outdated now, but this was all inserted in your packages. And then this is where I store the completed bracelets. So they're all ready to go. So as soon as that order comes in, I'm able to turn around, grab the materials, grab the shipping, make my labels, and out the door it goes.